Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, and welcome to another episode of Naked with Dr. Money. I'm so glad that you could join me today. Wow, so much is happening on this fabulous, what is it, the second or third day of May? I can't believe where the time has gone. The year literally is flying by. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm sitting here going, wait a second. The last time I blinked, we were talking about a new year, and we're now almost halfway through the year. Well, hopefully that means that you're having a fabulous time and that you're setting the intentions that you want to set so that you can experience the outcomes that you desire. So today I had an exciting morning. I was asked yesterday to be a guest on Conscious Radio in the UK, which was part of my tour last time that I was over in the UK. They're gearing up because I promised that I'm coming back in September. I need to come when the weather is a little bit better. So I can't wait to get there in September. But we were talking about finance and money, and the goal was to consider, some different perspectives, and they're always on me about, this Dr. Money stuff. What is that all about? And I'm like, look, guys, I have the facts. I have not only the experience of delivering the outcomes, but guess what? I have the paper that says it too. So now check me out. But anyway, today, in continuing this theme, the conversation each week, Naked with Dr. Money, is my opportunity to take you behind the scenes so you get to see how I manage my mind, body, and soul as the CEO of ZenoVerse Wellness Group, which is a global wellness company where we are both building, meaning real estate development, we're building wellness resorts, and we're operating those same resorts that we're developing, as well as other parts of the ecosystem that supports our business vision and how we deliver for you holistic wellness, mind, body, and soul. So Naked with Dr. Money is this sort of, introduction to me, to some of you out there, and then also to some of my friends who say, I don't know how you're doing all of these things. You should be more stressed than ever. How could you say that you're maintaining your wellness and you're actually not stressing? And so that's not to say that sometimes I don't, but what I'm saying is now I have more tools that I'm able to rely upon. And because I recognize the things that can be stressors, I don't allow them to manifest or to fester. So if there are ways that I can mitigate a potential stressor, then I work on that by setting a particular intention in the beginning. And then from there, if I find myself in a situation where, again, I'm human too, I find that, a situation still triggered me in such a way, then I know what I need to do to make sure that that trigger and that trauma from that trigger, I can get it released from my body. Right. And then once I can get that out of my body, then I minimize the impact of its ability to harm me. Because remember, disease first begins in your mind and then it sets into your body. It finds a weakness. And oftentimes it's because you've suffered some type of trauma, be it physical, emotional, or otherwise. It's the trauma that then becomes the stress that then sets up the disease. So my conversation today, as many conversations previously, includes this idea of mindset. And is mindset the result of your nature, how you were nurtured, or is it a little bit of both? And based upon that mindset, how have you been motivated? And how have those motivations produced manifestations? And so that's really kind of the framework of what this conversation is about. And then we weave in a few other things. So I'm so excited today to have my guest, Dr. Andrea Lee. She is a friend, but we first met when she and her husband, they were investing. They had a franchise business, and I had the opportunity to be their commercial broker, to work with them on securing their locations and work with them on some of their financing initiatives. And from that, it's just, you develop a relationship or friendship And so Andrea has launched her company, Andrea Lee Financial. And so she's going to, talk about a little bit of her perspective in terms of how mindset, and then again, her emphasis on retirement planning, how all of those things come together. So let me bring her into this conversation. So, hey, lady, how are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good.
I am so excited to be here today, and thank you so much for the opportunity for me to be here with you in this show,
Yeah.
um, to share some thoughts about with your audience. And it's a happy place with a wonderful mindset of growth, right?
Yes, yes. And that's oftentimes what we talk about. And it's amazing because, sometimes when you contact people, you never know. I always say sometimes it's for a reason, it's a season or a lifetime. And you never know along that journey how the people, that relationship is going to manifest, right? But the one thing that I love is that when I was running my brokerage full time, I didn't want to look at any of those relationships as just transactions. Like, it was really, to me, the goal of building a relationship where you just can grow together. And that's so much what I loved about meeting Martin and you, is that you share that same interest in community and that vision of, hey, we're going to look at a number of different opportunities. Some are going to be better than others at certain times, but we're going to look at them all. We're going to determine which ones work. But more importantly, we're going to maintain the relationships that we found as valuable.
It is the life journey, throughout the process of getting to know you and starting a business. I've learned to love you, how your honesty, your knowledge, and the mindset of grow, and also the mindset of learning. You're always in constant learning. So I love all of that. Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited. So, as I teased about our conversation today, I want to ask you, because I usually ask, when we talk about mindset, and two things. One, when you think about your mindset in particular, do you think it's more a result of your nurturing or your nature? And three, when did you first kind of think that you had a mindset, or you recognized that you had a mindset?
Right. Okay. Mindset. When I think of mindset, I think it's an established set of attitudes that someone has, like a set of beliefs that we have for ourselves, how we make sense of the world around us, and the assumption or the expectations that you hold about yourself, your life, and the situation, or your surrounding, basically. So, research have shown that mindset play a significant role in determining your life's outcomes. So, nature is largely determined by our genetics, right? And nurture is including our environment. So, environment factors that impacts who we are, and they both are very important. So for mindset is, I think it's leaning toward nurture a little bit more, but both are equally important.
Well, I always think that it has a lot to do with, I think that I remember having my own determination. I remember being 3 and making certain requests, and I was fearless. I remember negotiating some things. In fact, I remember kind of getting into a situation because I would spend a lot of time with my grandmother. And on one particular day, she was going to look at a preschool for another cousin. They were trying to meet the enrollment. And I decided that I wanted to attend the preschool. So I talked my way into the preschool. And she was trying to tell them that I was only 3, but they were not listening to her. They were only listening to me. So then a week later, I decided that I wanted to quit. I now had enough. And she was so mad. She was like, no, you're not quitting. You talked your way into the school, but just to me, that day they were showing up to come and find out if I was really only 3. And so literally they came to the house that day and they said, is she 3? And my grandmother said, yes. And they said, well, she can't go. And she was so outdone. And so she said, okay, so when you're 4, you're still not going to preschool. You're not going to school until you're 5, because you just worked a whole
that age.
year because you felt like it. Right? So I remember just really having my own thoughts and ideals. And so I would say I had to have been born with that, that had to be some of just my natural genetics, but then I was socialized either the appropriate thing or not the appropriate thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So either it was like, no, I shouldn't be that bold or confident in my beliefs versus, settle down, right? It's like stay in a girl's place. Right. Or as my grandmother would say sometimes, study, but have one eye on the books and the boys. And I was like, no, I'm really more interested in the business, right? So they should have their eye on me. That's their assignment. I think it is God blesses the man who finds his bride. I didn't read anything about the bride going to find a dude, right? Just saying.
I think your determination, that has a big influence of who you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I think it does. And so then when you think back in terms of your journey, so kind of talk about that. What was your journey, your highlights to business? Why is it that with your experiences, you find yourself focusing on the financial and retirement planning at this stage of your career, your profession?
Thank you so much for asking that questions. So I have been a pharmacy doctor and, a licensed retirement planner. So I've been in the pharmacy field for over 20 years. I have always been taking care of, healthcare needs for my patients. But now I'm focusing more on taking care of financial health for my clients. And the reason that I have made a shift in my career, I'm still doing pharmacy, but, focusing more in financial health. Through the experience, over the years, we have accumulated, real estates and built a good portfolio for ourselves. In 2016, we, came across a franchise business. It was a restaurant. And Martin, my husband, who wanted to get into that venture and start something, we had no experience in restaurant business, but he wanted to do it. Yeah. And I'm in the business of, I have very open mind. You don't know something, you go out there and learn and make it happen. And give yourself a chance, basically. So I was not afraid of failure. I'm pretty brave in that sense, but also it's kind of scary, right? Because you just dive in and not knowing what you're facing. So we opened 2 restaurants, not 1, but 2 at the same time in 2018, and then 2019 COVID hit. That was a bad timing. Yeah. And all the restaurants closed in 2019 because of the pandemic, and we really suffer a lot. And for any business at all, when you open, you got to give yourself at least a few years to get a hang of it, and eventually making a profit. And that may take years to make a profit, especially in restaurant business. Is pretty tough. And now I know how people said, if you want a divorce, get into restaurant business.
Restaurant is really one of the most difficult businesses. And it's so funny because I used to tell people over the years that although I advised in a bunch of categories and in some places I have particular experience, I have very limited experience in the fast food or restaurant space. I never worked, in that space, in that capacity. One, because I found it to be a very difficult business, just in terms of all of the variables that could potentially go wrong. And
Exactly.
it was really a wonderful, but if I were to enter the space, I would want to do it through a franchise model. And so the beauty in what it was that you and your husband did, and the mindset that you have, and I love that you say that, look, let's go, let's take a chance, we'll learn one way or another. The thing is that you had a beautiful concept. The franchise idea could have worked, but you also had some impediments that had nothing to do with you. The franchisor was not
Right.
on the top of their game. And
Right.
so they made it more difficult from the beginning. But what you and Martin did was you didn't cry over any of that spilt milk. You still went forward and you took your best effort to still win in spite of. And then all of the other circumstances that happen, that's when we talk about business, when we talk about we have those internal elements that we
Right.
control. And then we have macro factors that we have nothing to do with. But that's then where the mindset comes to play, right? Because when a situation turns and we're forced to pivot, I remember speaking to friends over the course of this journey, because I've been at this for over 40 years. And so I remember one of my friends, earlier in the 90s, when there was a financial setback and a lot of people got hurt in different ways, and he said, look, that money gone. No need to sit here and think about what happened yesterday. That money's gone. So let's
Absolutely right.
right.
You move on.
Let's move on. What next?
Next project. Exactly.
Next project. And so it's important, and but the only way that you're able to do that is about how it is you frame your mindset. If it is that each time you're knocked out and you're wiped out, and you don't recognize that there was a lesson in that process. And it's also the language, because what I remember the last time in 2010, that was the last time I was in a corporate environment and found myself being, outsized, right? And I remember kind of thinking, wow, again, the conversations that I'm hearing, the perspective of what I thought I was calling, well, that was a failure. Thankfully, I was in Orange County. And what I've listened to these guys were like, nah, that's just the deal. We're working on this next deal. And I was like, okay. They're like, oh yeah, that one's done. We've opened up 5 new opportunities over here, and I was like, wow, talk about mindset. Like, that one's being BK'd and these 3 are being launched. No downtime. Keep it pushing.
Yeah, we gotta, keep pushing ourselves and not afraid of failure. I mean, throughout the process, we learn a lot. We learn, we've seen how businesses are running. We appreciate business owners out there, especially people in restaurant business is very tough.
Yes.
You have to manage the company, you have to manage, the business.
Yes.
And it takes a lot. It takes a toll on you. So I really appreciate when I go to a restaurant, I appreciate all the owners, the workers there. Now, being on that side, I knew what they're going through.
Yes. Yes. I have a good friend, pretend sister, who has been in the space, and oftentimes, from being on the front of the house to the back of the house, and discussing the leadership requirements and all of that stuff. And the fact that, again, one of your big investments, the food, is perishable. So you also have that. It was like, I had a colleague years ago that owned a florist business. And so there's just, a certain set of, when you're thinking about the ingredients that allow you to produce what it is you're producing, and those particular variables, adding the fact that you have a shelf life potential issue as well. That's just, a whole nother level of challenge to the process. But anyway, when we talk about then retirements, right? And I love it after, as you continue, as you said, from a pharmaceutical perspective, as worried about your clients, your patients with their personal health, but now really shifting to recognizing it's important to think about your financial health. Because I always say sometimes you need to evaluate and recast your financial future, your financial intentions. So what are you seeing, and kind of who are you finding yourself in conversation with around this kind of retirement planning? Are you finding younger or more boomers, or what are you seeing, in terms of where your conversations
Thank
are
you.
beginning?
Thank
Yeah.
you for your question. I over the years, so starting in 2021, that's how I developed the interest into financial world, and more just for personal pursuit, because I just wanted to learn what's out there and what can I do for myself and my family. And I, spend months ends on research. I love to learn. So, whatever out there, I love to learn. So I got my license, and I have since start helping a lot of individuals, clients, family, and business. So it's not it's not a target age range that I'm targeting. But it's more like for everybody. This is something that uh, we don't think of when we get older about retirement, right? When you get into like 40s, 50s, and you think about retirement, that could be giving you limited time horizon to plan for it. But if you younger, in your 20s, even little kid just born, the parents could set up something for the kid, and that could set up a whole plan, something that stay with them for the rest of their life, that help them with their financial goals, to meet financial goals later in life. Going through college, buying a car, buying a house, a wedding. You need money for all of that reasons. So what can you do? How can you plan for all of that? And there are ways that we can do it right now. It's never too late, and it's never too early to do financial planning for your family and for yourself. And often when we go to work in your 20s, you enjoy life and you don't think about retirement, right? We're busy with just making money and paying bills, and having fun a little bit in the 20s, and then 30s and 40s, you start thinking about retirement. But this is something that what I do as a financial planner, I instill that a little bit knowledge, a little bit reminder to my, the clients that I talk to, and say, hey, you can start early. This is things that I lay out, I educate basically, and tell them these are available plan for you. This is depends on your situation, where you're going to, your goals, financial goals, and what would you like to achieve. And from that picture, I can establish a plan or a clarity, basically, how to achieve all of that, over the course of the years until retirement and beyond, right? Because nowadays people live over 90s, 100 all the time. The advancement of medicine make it wonderful. People live in much longer, and there are life risks that we don't think about. The main three things. First is untimely death. We don't know when we kick the bucket, right? We don't know, um, and that could leave a lot of financial stress for our family, um, and loss of income, especially if you are the main income earner for the family. If you're a husband with two kids and a wife, and if you're the only one working and you're not coming home tomorrow, who's taking care of the kids? Who's taking care of the family bills? All of that, your wife, your family, and the kids need to live. So how do we plan all of that? In my situation, I know, over the years, I be getting smarter each year. We learn, right? We make mistakes a lot along the way, and we learn and become a little bit smarter in our financial planning, and how to save effectively, how to pick the right vehicle to put your money in. That's very important, because that way you can maximize the earning and limiting the risk, basically. And second thing is critical illness, or we don't know when we get sick. Chronic illness, critical illness, or getting very, very sick that you no longer can work. Who is taking care of the bills? Who is taking care of yourself if you no longer can work to support your family? On average, the long-term care is about anywhere from 9,000 to 16,000 per month. That's a lot of money, right? And that's something that we have to think about. How to, there's way to protect from that. And the third thing is living too long. Right? Nowadays we live longer, and do we have the fund to last that long? When you retire age 67, which is the average age for retirement, do you have enough money to last you for 25 years? People have 401k, have some savings, but it may not be enough to last that long. And I've seen reading the news and following the news, lately, a lot of people coming back to work at age 65 because they cannot afford to retire because, the bills, medical bills, the biggest BK reason is medical bills for that. The healthcare cost in US is very high, and there is way that we can we can plan in advance so that we don't have to run into that crisis. So they'll plan that we can do all of that.
So in that, it's interesting because I too address finance and wealth creation using tools like insurance and, of course, real estate and venture and all of those things. And I use insurance and those types of vehicles as tools to support business interest. And so it's so funny, I was just on in UK, and they were asking me, what are my thoughts around, retirement planning? And I said, my response may sound a little bit controversial, but let me tell you anyway, my perspective is I don't see creators of major organizations or owners of things of that nature. I don't see them planning for retirement. They plan for continued ownership. And so the problem is that if I'm planning for retirement, then that means that I must be someone else's employee. And so already I'm on a different side of the table than I care to be anyway, because really what I should have become is the employer. I should have been creating some type of business vehicles and instruments and learning things like how to use insurance and tools to be my own bank and to be my own financing institution for my family, so that we can then create generational wealth, so that we can be the lenders and not the borrowers. And so it's that kind of information that I think is the shift. So when I talk about, again, mindset, it is about the mindset and the perspective. So when I was first introduced to insurance, I was a young person. And I'm so grateful to my friend who was in the business. And at that time, like I said, I was in business at 19 and 20. And I was still on my mother's insurance because I think they let she was a city employee. She could keep me on until I think I was 25, as long as I was kind of in school. And so I didn't need to pay for medical. So what my friend suggested, that I got a disability policy that protected my income as an entrepreneur, as I was launching my business. And so that was some brilliant advice, because I was able to do that. And again, you don't know what's going to happen. So right in the middle of expanding my company to Los Angeles from the Bay Area, it was amazing, the timing. I literally moved out of the office that I was in into a downsized office in Oakland, because now I was about to open up a larger office in Beverly Hills. And in about 2 weeks, I was going to be going and completing the lease. I kind of settled on the location. I kind of got all that shifting away. And literally, I'm in LA. It's a Sunday. I'm cruising in my convertible, not a care in the world. I'm stopped at a red light. The lady behind me doesn't see the light and hits me doing 50.
Oh my God.
And knocks me a half a block. And I got hit hard enough. Thankfully, I was in a stick where I could see her coming, and it was like, but I couldn't go because there was cross traffic, and I was the front car, and I was praying, I'm like, oh my God. But right at impact, because it was in neutral, so I got hurt bad enough where I had all kinds of internal injuries. We didn't think I'd ever have kids, just a lot of stuff. But
Right.
not bad enough where anything broke. So I think that was the worst kind of injury, because on the outside I looked like I should be okay, but it took me over a year to recover.
It
And
does.
what took care of me was the fact that I had that disability policy that covered my income. Because once they got the prognosis and the update from the doctor, they didn't ask me anything. They came and wrote me a full check in lump sum.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. It seemed like there was something that happened.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, just basically recognizing that the disability policy was such a critical tool to protect me at the point that I was injured in the accident and I lost my income. And so how else would I have survived over that period of time? But it gave me that space to heal. And
Right.
so I always encourage not only families, but to think about, financial planning, but from the standpoint of how are these tools used for business purposes? Because that's
Right.
a different mindset. That's a different application of a similar tool.
Right. The insurance plan in the past, it just life insurance only provide death benefits, but now modern plans is called Index Universal Life or IUL. You able to access living benefits. So let's say the terminal illness, chronic illness, or critical, or you suffer from injury, you can get access to the money and to help you with the situation, like in your case, right? And also another positive side is protect from the downside market risk. So if the market crashes, your money is protected, your
Right.
principal is protected, and you also get access to the cash value, the compounding interest, over the years, and allow the opportunity for your money to grow inside the policy, and able to draw it out for whatever needs that you have. People using it for, like you said, infinite banking for yourself, for your family, to set up a plan. And so you can draw out the money, and whenever you have business need or whatever the needs may arise, right? Buying a car, have a wedding for your kid, or buy a house, you can do that. And it's a valuable, it's a good plan to have in every family, basically, so that you get the benefit and the protections. Also the tax advantage, the income tax-free debt benefit, the money grow tax deferred, so you don't have to, later on you can access the money tax-free or tax advantage distributions. And the living benefit claims is also, tax advantage. Protects a life against life's risks, basically, and reduce market risk and enjoy tax advantage. It has all the positive upsides that we can capture, and to have for your family, for every members of your family. We going through the process, everybody love to have a portfolio, but you should diversify your portfolio, right? You have certain money discretionary income for your stock market, and certain money set aside for insurance, that you get the protection and the income, and also other accounts for emergency fund. So that's something that I do with my clients, that I raise that awareness so they can see what they need to plan ahead, so that they have a better clarity with their financial need and goals.
Yeah. And I think that that's so important. What I would like to do, Andrea, is I want you to give information so people can contact you to get more information about your guidance on the financial side. So how is it that someone should best go about reaching you?
Great. You can reach me directly by calling 714-388-6168. Again, 714-388-6168. Or you can go to my website at www.andrealee is Andreale financial.com. And, you can get in touch with me from there. You can send me a text to that phone number as well.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, I think it was great to have a conversation with you today. I think it's exciting. Again, we're in, I think this is Women's or Financial Literacy Month, or a little bit of both. We're talking about, the financials and the importance of planning, as well as, what that looks like in terms of pivoting a mindset that will allow you to recognize that, hey, I may need to do some new planning, especially at a time that we're hearing messages regarding the economy and inflation and all of these things that typically make people afraid
Right.
and uncertain. So it's great to be able to have a conversation that provides some insights to providing people with an opportunity to gain some of that certainty back by becoming
Exactly.
informed. And that's what we can do, is we offer information that we hope will give you some new understanding that might be contrary to what you've had previously. And with that information, then you can make new decisions, right? And that's all we
Absolutely.
want to do, is share new information and see if that becomes an opportunity for you. Well,
Absolutely.
say hello to Martin, and I want to thank you again for joining me today. And I look forward to our continued working together going forward. And, thank you again for all that you shared.
Thank you so much for having me today. And I do look forward to be, on your show again. Joining
Fantastic.
you next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to talk about global markets and Vietnam and all of that stuff. So we must
Oh,
talk
yes.
about the
We
business
are
side.
expanding. Yes. For international market.
Yes, definitely want to have that conversation. Someone asked me recently, hey, you were doing those EB5 deals and all that stuff. You stopped. I said, guys, I am building something right now. So I'm not spending as much time advising, but I am spending some. So I do have still some select clients that I work with. So, on that side of helping them build their generational wealth organization. So, yeah.
Exactly. I have so much information to share, but since we have limited time, so hopefully we have more opportunity in the future to share more information how to build wealth, and especially generation wealth, and for businesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, have a great day, Andrea, and thank
Thank
you again
you.
for joining me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Well, everyone, I hope that you enjoyed my conversation today with Andrea, friend, colleague, prior client. And again, as I say, Naked with Dr. Money is about addressing, your mind. Body and soul is what we focus on as ZenoVerse Wellness Group, and Naked with Dr. Money is my look back, sharing with you how I'm maintaining my mind, body, and soul as I build and continue along the startup journey that includes everything. And so at a high level, I'm always addressing capital, capacity, and customers. And that's what typically every organization is faced with addressing. And so at any given point, any of those buckets can be filled with stressors and opportunities for you to, need to musa and come back and reset that intention. So anyway, hope that you enjoyed today and that you'll tune in again next week. Remember, if it's Wednesday and it's noon, chances are Pacific time, it's Naked with Dr. Money. So I hope to see you next week. In the meantime, have a fantastic week and take care of you, right? And hug a couple people. Hug a couple people before I see you next week. All right, take care.